Thank you. Good evening. And I call the May 20th Select Board meeting to order at 7:02. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by our friends at WACA-TV and live streamed on YouTube. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conferencing platform. Any disruption with the video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. In the event of this disruption, broadcasting will continue on WACA-TV and live streamed on YouTube. Seeing that there aren't many people in attendance, I will continue. Thank you, and let's proceed with tonight's agenda. I would like to ask if there's anybody here in person or on Zoom that has anything they would like to say. It's citizens' participation. We will give you folks 3 minutes. We will not respond to comments or questions. This is your time to participate and provide information to us, but we will not respond as a board. Okay? Having said that, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Paul Kendall, 6 Reepenacker Road. So I've written a few things down because, as you can imagine, I'm a little tired. And I have lots of thoughts bouncing around my head, which probably wouldn't lead to brevity or coherence. So first, thank you to the Select Board, Finance Committee, School Committee, Mr. Adams and his team, and Michael and his team for the work that was put in for the override. And just want to acknowledge that we passed yesterday, but that wasn't a reflection of the work that's been done over the last few weeks or months. It's really a reflection of the work we've done over the last 10 to 12 years, right? We've done that through collaboration and hard work. We've built up credibility in the community, and I think that's what's been shown in the last few things we've asked the community to support. And while I believe the need for the override, I share Chief Rossi's concern on how divisive it is for our entire community. And I just want to make sure that people understand that what makes Ashland's great is the people, your neighbors, and to remember that. Doesn't matter how they voted. If they voted differently than you, they're not ignorant. They're not misinformed. They're your neighbors, and that's what we need to focus on and make sure we're doing. I also want to acknowledge that in the last few weeks there's been a lot of negativity, some of which was directed at our municipal leaders and municipal departments. I want to apologize for the silence on that, but understand that we had to be laser focused on what the job at hand was, and to engage in that would have been a distraction and possibly compromise our ability to get what we need done. Make no mistake, we value the municipal partnerships we have. You're all the best. You do in the same way we messaged with the override that we do a lot with a little. That goes for all of our departments. And so I just want to express that. And also remember that 1,113 or so of our neighbors voted against the override. And just want to start thinking about how we can collectively as boards and committees engage in a productive dialogue with those that voted no. Some of them are going to be for your normal reasons that are understandable. Other ones use that as a way to send a message or to express themselves. And I want to think about ways we can engage in that and make sure we're hearing and listening and doing what we can to address their needs and concerns. So again, thank you for your partnership. And I also, just a reflection on how special Ashland is. We say it all the time, but we had several select board members being the face and putting their heart and souls into communication in this. There's not very many communities that would do that for an operational override that was for the schools. So thank you very much and appreciate your support.
Thank you for your comments, Paul. Anybody want to comment? No, we're good? I know we're not commenting, I know. I know you can't, I know we can't. I know we do, 'cause I saw the look, that's why I was, is there anybody on the Zoom platform that would like to be heard at this time as part of citizens' participation? I don't see any hands raised. Give you a moment or two. No? Okay, well, thank you, appreciate that. We'll start with old business. We don't have any scheduled appointments for tonight, so let's discuss the May 19th, 2026 town election. Bring that up, thank you, appreciate it. Sure, sure.
Thank you. So I'm just looking at the official election results, which were posted to our website today. Just as we look at the total number of votes, we had 2,914 voters come out, and that's out of a total of 13,163 registered voters in Ashland. The percentage of that voted was 22.14%. And looking down the list of those that ran and were elected, for Select Board, Claudia Bennett was reelected for another 3 years. For the Board of Assessors, David Rosenblum was elected. For School Committee, Chantel Corcoran is a new member for School Committee. For the Board of Library Trustees, that was the only contested race that we had. And both Martha Coleman and Lisa Ugliaro both won that race. There were 2 seats there. For the Board of Health, there was 2 seats as well. And both David Kinsman and Barbara Segundo Simon both won re-election. For the Housing Authority, Carolyn Beaton. For the Planning Board, Deepa Venkat. That was the 5-year seat. And for the 4-year seat, Paul Montesino. And on the override question, we had 1,778 voted yes, and 1,128 voted no.
They changed since last night,
So
based on what we were
this
given.
is, yeah, this
in
is the
unofficial.
official. Yeah,
Okay.
last night when we were talking about
So
the
what are the
unofficial.
new numbers?
1778 in favor and 1128 no. So I just wanted to
Great,
say
thank you.
congratulations to everyone that ran. Thank you all for wanting to serve our community. And congratulations to the new members of our boards that are coming in for the first time. That's fantastic. So also just wanted to give a big thanks to Cindy Livingstone and Christopher Sullivan in our town clerk's office. And they ran an amazing election. Also, all the poll workers that came out to sweat in the gym all day yesterday. It was a long day. It was a hot day. Of course, it was 95 degrees on election day in May. But just thank you to everyone that helped with the election and in general. It was a great day. So, and thank you to everybody that came out to vote. You know, we had a crazy freak thunderstorm last night. I mean, it was kind of a strange end to the evening, but it was. Thank you to everybody that came out to vote, and hopefully, like Paul said, we can all move forward together, and because you know we are all neighbors and we are all in this together. So, but thank you all for coming out and voting yesterday.
Thank you, Brandy. I just want to give a huge shout out and acknowledge the team for pulling everything together. So the town clerk's office, Cindy Livingstone and Chris Sullivan, all of our poll workers, special thanks to our DPW. So Dan Maurer and Ian Whitcomb came with 2 huge fans to get some air moving in there. We had Chris Matthew in there. We had Mike Kyra in there. We had our school facilities department in there to help keep some air moving in a 95-degree gym. So thank you to everybody.
It was a little stifling for sure. Claudia?
Yeah, I just want to, thank everyone that came out and voted. I wanted to thank, anybody that voted for me and even those that didn't, that you came out and voted regardless. It is what a democracy is about, is coming out to vote. Just to echo a little bit of what Paul said, we're a really good community, a real strong community. And while we worked on behalf of the school override, it's not without understanding the consequences and the challenges it might make for some community members. But ultimately, I think I still believe that it was the best path forward, that it is better for the community going forward in terms of never having or not having to ask in a couple of years for a larger amount, that it would be harder on people then than it is right now. And so I do just want to say thank you. I am excited to start this second term. And we have a lot of work to do. And so I do hope that people will stay engaged. It is important that, we get lots of feedback and input from the community, and I know that that is going to be something that we will work hard on.
Yolanda, anything? Good? Okay. Ms. Mantle? Good evening. You can unmute.
Okay.
Hi, Connie.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I'm sorry I'm late. I have never done this before and I had a hard time figuring it out, but I finally did. Just want to give a congratulations to everyone who has won in the election and congratulate the town on a smooth, difficult time. And you managed very well. My question is this. In November 2025, roughly 6 months ago, questions were submitted to the Ashland town attorneys regarding the validity of the 1060 Main Street developer's application. My question is, have the town attorneys responded?
What I can say is that I know that Mr. Herbert has been has had discussions with respect to that specific matter. Michael is not here at this time to, oh, there he is. So, Michael, I don't know if you heard the question or not, but have our attorneys responded to the validity of the application?
I'm sorry, Joe, could you repeat that? The application, I just jumped right in here in the
Oh, that's
middle
okay.
of this.
I'm sorry. I
Sorry.
just saw your face, so I figured you had heard. Ms. Mel had wanted to know whether or not we've heard from our attorneys with respect to the validity of the application.
So we did hear back initially from Attorney Winter just with regards to one particular piece, which I believe was related to the AUL and what his initial thoughts were about that. And so we did have a discussion and I asked him to do a deeper dive into all of the questions. So that is what's going on right now. They're researching all of those questions, not just the AUL one.
Okay, thank you.
Did Mr. Winter, by any chance, share why it's taken so long to do this? It's been 6 months.
I understand,
this.
yes. And
Should not
so
be
I
going back
did,
and forth like this.
Connie, we actually, when we started the meeting tonight, we said that we weren't going to go into full discussions. If you had questions, we would be more than happy to get back to you on those. But this was just citizens' participation to provide an opportunity for folks to speak, but it's not a question and answer period at this point in time.
What I would like to add, Joe, is that maybe we need to add this to as an agenda item. We always have 40Bs on there, but we've heard this question and this issue a number of times since November. So maybe for our next board meeting, we can have it on our agenda to discuss
some possible answers
exactly
for it.
what happened and what is going on with this.
That's a great
That's my
idea. Thank you.
recommendation.
Good idea.
I agree with that.
So does that work for you, Connie, with respect to that? We'll,
That would be great. I look forward to hearing the discussion. Thank you so much.
oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. Discuss the board reorg. It's that time of year where democracy works its magic. And the change of leadership on the board. This will be my last time as the chair for my duration as a select board member.
I shouldn't laugh, Joe, but you've mentioned before that you won't run again, so
No,
I don't think you can
this is
say
not-
never.
No, I will tell you exactly, and if I change my mind, I'll be looking for a place to live. Okay? And that's not a lie. This is it. I believe 6 terms is long enough. I've enjoyed my tenure here. We've accomplished a lot of things, and in the next 2 years, I would like to continue that movement forward and progression of things that need to get done and completed. So, yeah.
So thank you, Joe, for all that you've done this year as chair.
Well-
It's a lot of work, which I think people don't quite understand how much work it actually is.
Well, I have comments that I want to make at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I
Sure.
want to hold back on it because there's things that people need to understand and appreciate. And I'm looking at the person that took over for some of the things that needed to be taken care of while I was, so we'll address that at the end of the meeting. Okay? So with the discussion of the reorg, it's usually been, and I don't know if you folks had an opportunity to discuss this, Keita as well. I have to look up there because I have to remember she's here. I keep looking at the chair and she's not there, but I remember she's up here. So I apologize. It's usually, the way it's been done in the past is that there's a natural progression of leadership that comes through. It's usually the vice chair and then clerk that becomes the vice chair that becomes, you become the chair. Vice chair becomes chair, clerk becomes vice chair, and the progression of leadership follows that route. If that's something that you still want to continue or entertain, or if there's another platform that you folks want to discuss, I'm open to any and all suggestions, but I think,
I would like to nominate Brandy Kinsman as chair for the next year.
yeah, okay. Is
I'll
there a
second
to
that.
Second it. Oops.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's 5-0.
And I would like to nominate Claudia Bennett as vice chair for next year.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0. Dick, good luck.
And I would like to nominate Makita Keegan as clerk for next year.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Makita, do you accept that?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
there you go.
Because, great.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good.
guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
well-
I appreciate your faith in me for chair for the next year, and I hope to do it justice. So thank you, guys.
Great.
I'm sure you will. There won't be any issues at all, I'm sure, that we can't control or work through. Okay. Congratulations, everybody. Democracy at its finest. Okay, next, discuss the FY '27 budget.
Don't we have
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
discuss the June
Discuss
3rd town
3rd.
meeting?
Yeah, went right over it. Discuss the June 3rd, 2026 town meeting. And this should be a pretty quick meeting because it's to dissolve the current meeting that was continued. Am I right, Michael? That's what we're looking at to do?
That is correct. And actually, we could take the next two agenda items together because they were meant to be together, dependent upon the outcome of yesterday's election. And June 3rd will be our second night of town meeting, where we will only be convening to adjourn town meeting. We will not need to make any budget adjustments or budget amendments. But yeah, simply to meet and to adjourn town meeting. That's what our June 3rd meeting is about.
So what, if you don't mind, so what are the logistics for that? Because they typically start at 7. We have a select board meeting that night, so does it have to happen at the high school? Do we start it there and then join back to town hall? Do we do something with our select board meeting there? I mean, have we thought about how we're gonna
We have to
do
have a
this
quorum.
operationally? We have to have a quorum of 25. So wondering what has been thought of for that.
And Catherine, please chime in if I misspeak. But we had intended on having this at the high school, at the auditorium at 7 p.m. I believe our next regular select board meeting is scheduled for June 17th. We can certainly use June 3rd as an opportunity, for any kind of business that needs to happen
I was not aware of
within
that.
that time frame.
Okay.
I think we will have some business that evening. I think we will need to, we will have the scholarship names ready. Obviously, we won't announce them,
Okay.
that will be held in confidence until Friday, but I don't know if
I thought
you,
we were gonna
We
discuss
typically
that tonight,
don't.
'cause it says scholarship.
we were just going to discuss scholarships, the program in general, not,
Oh, okay.
In the past, I mean, I forget last year, but in the past, we trust the subcommittee to
Right.
select the names, and then they typically get announced at our meeting after graduation.
right, I wasn't sure if they
Yeah, so we
wanted
don't need
to review them or
We
anything
don't
like
need to
that.
review, no.
Okay,
We trust the scholarship
I feel like
committee to
we've
do that.
always reviewed them, but maybe not.
So as far as, we will need to make sure we have quorum there, right?
Yep.
25 people.
25.
Does it make sense to, like, do we think we're gonna need a full select board meeting for for June
So-
3rd? Should we plan to have, or are we just gonna assume the 17th?
I think
I
we
was
should.
not aware that we had decided not to do one on the 3rd. I thought no matter what happened with town meeting, and I apologize to everyone, I was away for a month. I don't apologize for being away, but I certainly missed some things because of it. So
I mean, I know we talked about this at the last meeting. I don't know if you had a chance to
I have not had
review
a
it. Yeah.
chance to-
Okay, that would be probably why.
Yeah, no.
If
So-
I may, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Right. No, if I may suggest, one thing we could do is we could go ahead and schedule like a meeting at 6:30, similar to what we do on a regular night of town meeting, just in case we do have something that comes up. And Catherine and I will work with the moderator to ensure that we have the 25 people necessary for quorum.
Yeah,
We'll do
and
the-
I'd actually like to
roundup.
see the attorney question get on that agenda, so.
I would want to make sure we're doing that in
As a
front of
televised-
a televised thing.
Well, I was thinking we could adjourn town meeting and come here, but, or meet here before town meeting, I don't know, but,
Well, that's what I was wondering, right? If we know town meeting is gonna be maybe a half hour, we could have town meeting from 7 to 7:30, finish that, and then start our meeting at 8 if we felt like there was enough to do, rather than just, because I definitely don't think that the attorney question that has been brought up should be done on an untelevised
Oh,
or
no.
No,
on Zoom
absolutely.
meeting. So,
Oh, 100%, yeah.
We do have a legal update, I believe, scheduled for the June 17th meeting. So if the board would like, we could certainly bundle those two together for that meeting. If you
Just to advise her
if you
we
wanted
make
to-
that date
Well,
change.
she's still online, so.
Well, yeah.
I actually think that, I mean, like the 3rd, if we could do something on the 3rd, that probably makes the most sense
Yeah, I
To
would agree
me?
with that.
at this point.
Okay. Okay.
The only thing we need to keep in mind is the library is booked, so we cannot use that space if we are going to have a meeting
Okay.
that night.
No,
Well,
we, would- I think.
On the
I think
3rd,
based
we
on
could-
what we're all
Yolanda's
saying
here.
Is
We're
come
gonna come
here for
back
an
here.
8 o'clock
Yeah.
meeting instead of our regular 7 o'clock.
Right.
That's what
Right.
I'm hearing from both Mikita,
That work-
Claudia, and
that-
myself.
That work with all of you?
Right.
Yep, that
Yep.
works.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 8 o'clock,
Yeah,
8 o'clock here.
we'll just need to let
Whacker, you
WACA
have that?
know because they'll have their
Right.
staff there, so they'll
Right.
need to have someone available to come with us back here to do the meeting.
So let me ask you a question. Why couldn't we have that meeting, if it's going to be broadcast already with WACA there, why couldn't we have our meeting there?
In the high school
Yeah.
auditorium,
Yeah. We're already there.
because probably when we're done, they're gonna wanna start cleaning up, because as I was told, WACA has to move their equipment to the gymnasium for graduation and class day, and that takes a while,
Well, are they going to be moving it that night?
very possibly.
Well, why don't I guess we don't really need to decide tonight the location. We know that we want it televised. If they can do it with us there, we can stay there and do it. If they can, if it's going to be an inconvenience, then they have to actually drag out another staff member or move somebody down, then we can come here, but we can figure that out, right? We can
Oh,
talk
yeah,
to
we
them.
can,
Since we're all
Yeah.
there,
we
they're
still,
there, so-
we have a
Yeah,
couple weeks.
so
to make
let's
that
do that.
decision.
Okay.
And I'll need to check and see if Attorney Winter is available too. That's one
Okay.
thing.
All right.
If he's not available that night, do you want me to see if Attorney Mead or somebody else from the firm
Well,
can substitute?
that may be beneficial, Michael, to have somebody
I mean, I think,
present.
Or maybe
one way or
just
the
a-
other,
a
we're going to
written-
have the conversation.
Yeah, and maybe a written like if there's a written update that they can provide, that might work too. We may-
I do think if you're going to have a discussion about it, it would probably behoove everyone, the public and the board, to actually have the attorney who's been working on the issue actually present at the meeting.
Yeah, no, that does make
It
sense.
just makes sense.
I would agree with that.
No, I understand. It's just
Yeah.
that it's been going on for 6 months or more, right? So it's just hard to think about having to delay again, but.
I understand that.
Things that need to be remembered when you do an eval. I'll say no more. Okay, Michael, you said you wanted to combine that discussion with the FY '27 budget, so,
We did.
okay. We're good? So we're not gonna we don't have to make any changes because the budget that was voted upon at the last town meeting?
That is correct.
Is the budget that will be moving forward?
That we'll be moving forward with, as well as the transfer of the stabilization funds.
Okay. Any questions on that or concerns? Okay. Sounds good to me. All right, discuss the building and grounds department. So I don't know, Catherine, are you?
No, hey.
Sounds like Michael's going to take this one, huh? Okay.
Yeah, and I had provided some information to the board.
Yeah.
We had talked about this as well. This was initially brought up when we talked about the municipal budgets for FY '27, and this enhancing our current facilities department to create something more of an actual standalone department, a buildings and grounds department, was part of that $750,000. And so we've had a couple of discussions about it, including having Dan Maurer and members of DPW present, I believe, at a board meeting when we had a number of department heads present to talk about the departmental budgets at the select board meeting. And I understand that there were still some outstanding questions. So I wanted to put together a meeting, or excuse me, a paper about that and provide it to the board. And so give us an opportunity to answer any questions that you might have about it or any concerns that you might have. Just as a review, we currently have a public facilities division, if you will, that currently consists of 2 people that report as part of the DPW, the Department of Public Works. Originally, when I first arrived here, we had a shared facilities director arrangement with the school department. After going through 3 different directors, it was determined that that wasn't working for either the municipal departments or the school departments. The school created a facilities director position to oversee their maintenance and custodial staff. We decided instead of, at that point, to just absorb it underneath our Department of Public Works, as opposed to creating some new positions. What we've seen is that, 2 people reporting to a DPW leadership structure that is already has a huge span of control, consisting of water, sewer, cemetery, parks and trees, highways, stormwater, engineering, administration, etc. Was a little bit too much. And so a lot of things are starting to slip through the cracks. And we've made significant investment in our public facilities. And I think it behooves us to ensure that we have the structure and personnel in place to maintain them. Another part of that is the grounds associated with our public facilities. That includes grounds around buildings like the public safety building, around town hall, but it also includes things like the Valentine property, the Ashland Arboretum. We've acquired many properties over the years, over the last 10 years, and haven't enhanced staffing to start maintaining them. So this is an effort to start to address both the facilities issues and the grounds issues. And so what the proposal calls for is an enhancement in some of the line items like utilities, which are costs that are outside of our control, as well as contracted services. But it also involves the addition of an additional maintenance staff person, as well as a director of buildings and grounds as well. That's a summary. If you have any further questions, Catherine, I can try to answer those.
Anybody have any questions?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just had a few questions here. So in terms of the staffing, the numbers, right? What's the actual change in numbers? And is there a new position involved here, or the creation of a new position?
Yeah, so currently we have 2 people who work in facilities. This would expand it, so this would create 2 additional positions, a maintenance position, as well as a director of buildings and grounds.
Okay, and so, so would that person, that director of buildings and grounds, I know Mr. Small recently left, would that be replacing his position, filling his position?
Well, Doug was going to take the buildings and grounds director position and decided to take a DPW director position closer to his home. And so he is departed from the town.
Right, but that position, that's his position basically. So what, in terms of hiring somebody for that position, is it the same salary that Doug was getting? Or I kind of would think if it's, that it might be less, or?
It could be, Claudia. So the salary was set at 145, which, looking at different advertisements and different corollary positions in other municipalities, that is on the higher end, but certainly within the range. I would hope that, we could potentially find somebody that would be willing to do a good job and would not necessarily start towards the higher end. That being said, I think, given the scope of responsibilities, you get what you pay for.
Michael, what would be the job description for that? And what would that entail? If you don't mind me asking.
Sure. Overseeing all of the facilities, including both preventive maintenance and also corrective maintenance, and also all of the grounds, as well as 3 remaining fields that we would have, which include Grinsell, Stone Park, and the community center field, and coordinating all the maintenance and care of those fields as well. And so really, and it's kind of laid out more, I think, in the memo, just the transition. Initially, the first stage of that director position would be basically to stand up the department, develop some tools like work order systems, more enhanced work order systems, more preventive maintenance scheduling, as well as more regular maintenance of the grounds in the fields as well.
So, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so Michael, are you looking for somebody that is going to be hands-on and doing a lot of the actual work to the fields or to the buildings? Or are you looking for somebody that's just gonna organize it? I don't mean to sound like that, but I just want to make sure we understand what the
Yeah.
position is.
Yeah, it is primarily an administrative position, for sure. The director position would be primarily an administrative position. But just like all administrative positions here in the town of Ashland, it would be, well, they would do what is ever required. And so it wouldn't surprise me if the director at one point or another is on a mower or is turning a wrench or something, but primarily they would be administrative. That being said, the additional position that we would add would be another maintenance position that would be more of the on the ground, hands-on type of position.
So my question to that is, if that additional maintenance person, but now we have an additional maintenance person, and then this other person that's going to be the director, but some of them, when we talk about fields and we talk about grounds, that's more of a 6-month-a-year deal, right? So is that something, what do they do in the off-season? I mean, I'm sure you got to plan, you have to maybe do some work, although do they do work on the mowers? What do they do in the off-season?
Yeah, so there's a lot of maintenance, and actually what we would be looking at doing, especially in the first year, is seeing what positions or what parts of our cemetery, parks, and trees department would actually be a part of this buildings and grounds division as well. Because right now we have 5 people in cemetery, parks, and trees that handle all of the grounds maintenance, handle the fields, and handles the cemetery, maintaining the cemetery and doing the burials and such. So there's a number of things that they do in, we'll call it the off season, right? Snow removal, maintenance and repair. The facilities people are going to be busy year long.
Yeah.
But the grounds personnel, again, I would see us utilizing our cemetery, parks, and trees personnel as part of that, as well as contractors.
So
Go ahead.
So we'll have the same number, we'll have an additional person that's going to be doing work in that area. And yet, we're going to have fewer, currently they're maintaining school fields and town property fields, all properties in town. That's the way it's been until now. So now that the school department is taking back the school fields, the school properties, and I imagine, are they taking back even around their buildings?
Yes.
Yes, so,
Well, I believe that's already.
Can I take us
happening.
back one step, if you don't mind, Claudia?
ahead,
Because
go
I
ahead.
feel like we're getting into the weeds I know that, or at least my understanding, is that when this was being discussed, part of it was to help some personnel who had been with our town for a long time. And I'm wondering if we don't, before we push forward with this, there's some lot of great work in here about things that need to be planned, things that need to be evaluated, things that need to be put in place to be able to really have a separate building and grounds department. You're talking about our cemetery, our parks and cemetery group. So they're currently under DPW, but it doesn't sound like they're gonna go under buildings and grounds. It sounds like they're gonna stay with DPW, but maybe some of the work might be under buildings and grounds. I'm hearing that a little bit more work needs to be done to define what this department is really gonna be doing. And if we could even wait 6 months to bring someone, a director on, and because there's obviously people doing this work now who could give some feedback. I mean, if we feel like we want to hire the next, the technical person because we need someone else doing some of the technical work, maybe that's something to look at. The other thing is, I get concerned by having two separate departments. Do we then need to have, is the administrator then handling the payroll and working with HR for their 4-member team, when it's possible that that could be part of DPW rather than having this complete separate department?
It could be a branch of
So,
the DPW.
so my recommendation, and if people don't want to do this, that's fine, is that we take a step back from starting this department, do some of the work that's outlined in here because we need some extra help with things, and then determine what exactly, if we need a director position, or is it a position that goes back and reports to DPW? And if not, okay. But, we were given the staffing report from the Collins Center finally, so I have to admit, I've started looking through it, but I haven't been able to get through all of it. And I know that some of the items in there are being addressed with this department. So I would like us to, just take a pause, really look at this and determine what really is the best path forward. And I mean, I didn't get into this detail and question when the department was brought up in February or March, but as I've had a chance to think about this, and as some of our personnel have changed, it might be a chance, it gives us an opportunity to take another look. That's my feedback.
I can appreciate that. I just don't know who does that planning work. That basically has to happen. We already have it facilities reporting to DPW, and I'm letting you know that things are falling through the cracks. This is not, I don't think this is extravagant for 13, maybe 16 facilities, a number of grounds, a cemetery. I look at the schools, and they have a facilities director, their own facilities director, and it's worked out very, very well. And whose salary I think is in the 120s, and who doesn't have grounds that's necessarily.
But they're about to, right?
Part of that. No, well, my understanding is that that's going to fall under the athletic director and potentially hiring a new assistant athletic director to help maintain that.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not sure we can wait. The administrative piece is extremely important. You can have people that climb on the ladders and do some of that hard work. They're working on the HVAC systems. The only problem is you want to make sure that they put the ladder on the right building. That is, hyperbole to a certain extent, but I think that helps illustrate the picture.
But
I'm letting you know right now that what we need to have done to maintain our facilities and grounds, we don't have the current structure that can do it. I've given you a proposal that I do hope to implement sooner rather than later to help address some of that.
But I
If
think
you
one
want to
thing,
wet-
Michael, is that we are giving up some area of need in terms of all the athletic fields and school building areas. So, and yet we're adding more staff on that side, which maybe, it seems to me like, well, if they're going to have less to do, would it now be enough?
I'm telling you that what we have right now is not enough. Even when we had the fields, it was not enough.
Right, but we currently still have the fields, right, Michael?
We do until July 1st.
Okay, so
If you want me to hold off, I will hold off. I just want to be very clear and on the record that we are not able to maintain our facilities and grounds with the current staff that we have.
Well,
I want to be
I
very
think-
clear about that, and I want to be on the record.
Yeah,
for that,
no,
because-
absolutely. We hear you, Michael. I think the concern is that, we moved $750,000 from our stabilization fund to help fund this. and we have
1.6
to-
million
well,
came out of stabilization.
Right, but
partly for
750
this.
was part of this. So,
You're setting our people up to fail.
right, but I'm also, we also have to find a permanent way to fund that going forward, is my point. So we have to just make sure that what we're doing makes, like, that it does completely make sense
Well, and
to be able to fund that going
And
forward.
again, the other question is, Michael, I hear you saying that right now, based on the number of people that we have, we can't maintain what we're doing, right? That's what you're telling us, correct?
That is one of the things.
Okay, we are about to lose the expectation that we are maintaining the fields, correct?
Some of the
School
fields.
fields.
The school fields.
School fields, yeah.
Okay, so that's not gonna free up some time for our current,
If you
Team?
If you talk to the current folks that are working that position right now, I can tell you they are out straight. They are out
that,
straight.
I believe you, Joe. I'm asking the question of, we know we're losing some of the work that we have to do. Now, if we're at 200% and losing the field is gonna bring it to 150%, okay, but we need to know that, that's all.
I hear
Fair
what you're
point.
saying, but at the same token.
That's all.
Yeah.
Right? I
just
mean,
don't
is
want
that,
people- I just don't want people to think, oh, we have fewer fields. Let's think about that for a second. It's
Joe,
not that
it's
you have
a simple of, we currently manage the fields, right? All the fields, and
the
we're
best
no.
of their
lo-
ability
To
at
the
this
best of their ability, right. And I know that there's been concerns that some of the fields have not been able to maintain because of the people
Right,
that
and
we
that's
have.
why they're moving.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
why, that's one of the, that's not the only reason, it's a scheduling issue and all kinds of stuff.
That's the other matter
Right, but
that
then
wasn't brought up
again,
just
the
now.
scheduling for those fields is also being taken away from our DPW. Right, so I just want us to
No, that's not accurate, because there are fields in our town right now
the,
that have to
any
be
of the,
scheduled.
any of the school fields,
I'm not talking about school
are,
fields, I'm
I
talking
am,
about town
Joe,
fields.
because right now, our Public Works Department manages all the fields in town, and they schedule all the fields in town. And I know that's caused issues because they try to schedule stuff, and then things come up at the schools, which is again, why we're moving the maintenance and the scheduling of the school fields from DPW to the schools as of July 1st. That's a correct statement, right?
It's a correct statement, but it's not, no, it's a correct statement.
That's a correct statement. So, again, I hear we're over, but that means there's a little bit less that our current DPW is gonna have to do.
It's,
Maybe it's insignificant, but
it's
I
not
don't,
that it's less, it's just that some of these fields, like you just mentioned, have not been properly maintained.
I understand.
And why is that reason?
because our
Because
DPW is,
that's
I get it.
outstretched.
I get it, Joe.
Okay,
But-
so if you understand that, why is there such a pushback?
Well, so is there a
It-
chance that
I don't
now
understand
they
that.
will be able to maintain them? I
Let's
think
hope
that's
so.
the question.
But I guess
No,
that's the
I'm
question to
telling
be
you
asked.
no.
Okay, so that's what you're
no.
saying, Michael, is that even though we're making this shift of the school fields to the school department, our Public Works Department, as it's, and I don't think any of us is saying no to the building and grounds. I just want to make sure that if we do this, we do it in an economical, as well as make sure it makes sense from what we're seeing going on in town. That's all. And if this makes sense, okay, then let's go for it. But there's certain things that I think we just need to double check to make sure it makes sense. That's all.
Fair point. I think, I just want to point out, yes, the schools are absorbing or taking back a couple of the fields, but they're looking at hiring an additional position, an administrative position. We just transferred $200,000 so they could make an investment in capital equipment to help them. Why? I guess I don't understand why we're so supportive of that, but not necessarily supportive of our public works and our municipal facilities and grounds. I mean, one of the things we heard in the comprehensive plan, which was very loud and clear, one of the things that people are concerned about is that we've made these investments in some of these facilities and grounds, and we need to make sure that we maintain.
I think we're just trying to understand.
I don't think, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I think that's the problem. I think we're just trying to understand the lay of the land here, Michael. It's just, as you can tell from the exchange here, there's a little lack of clarity on our part, specifically around like, okay, so this is going over to the schools. What does that really mean for the existing facilities here? What does that mean? Like, what do we need to do? How much of it do we need to do it? We just want to make sure that what we're projecting here for the work is what is actually needed, given that there is a shifting landscape. And we want to be able to truly understand like how we're allocating these resources, how and why. And we just want to, because we just need to make sure that that's clear, given that circumstances have changed. That's all.
Okay.
I think we're trying to
How about for our next meeting, I have some more, just more material that answers some of these direct questions.
That'd be great.
Maybe that'll help, I think, clear a few things up and show some of that shift. And actually, I do see Becca Navarro from our Public Works Department here. I would love to have to get her input if the board would be amenable.
I'd be fine with that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, just to kind of add to the point of like the fields are going away so that, and theoretically we'll free up some time for our staff. I will say back when Doug and Dan were standing before you guys, when we were talking about our departmental budget, one thing that the two of them kind of failed to mention is, from Thanksgiving to that point, they had both been working 7 days a week. So there's been a tremendous workload on our end, and yes, the fields going away will help us, but there's a lot of groundskeeping that we haven't necessarily been able to maintain 100%. So with that going away, we still have the addition of new properties like the dog park and the arboretum, the Valentine property. So there's a lot of properties we haven't yet had to maintain that are coming up at this time as well. So while it may look like there's going to be a lot of extra time, kind of the hope is maybe we don't have to have staff working 7 days a week. Maybe we'll be able to do a better job getting Stone Park ready earlier in the season when teams want to play, because sports seem to be starting earlier and earlier these days, at least from my perspective.
That was just Rebecca. I would love to have some more of that detail as at our next meeting. And I would say, so Becca, remind us what position you currently have with Public Works.
Yep. So I'm the administrative and operations manager at the DPW.
Okay. So you have the ability to really get into the details and give us a more detailed information.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
We can prepare that for the next meeting.
Great.
Yeah, we can do that for the next meeting. And I think also some more illustrations, I think, would also help kind of just show, like Makita said, this is what we have. This is what we have as of, this date. This is what we would have as of July 1st. And maybe I think for comparison, we could show you what we had 5-10 years ago and show you how staffing has not increased as we've added on more things.
So that,
And maybe that'll help.
I think what would be helpful, I think, again, would to get a little bit more detail on looking forward, right? Because conditions have changed. Looking forward, what that staffing would ideally look like, and so that we can understand, again, because I'm just thinking about also just folks watching this at home and trying to get their minds around, like, exactly what Yolanda said. We're handing over some of our fields, but we're asking for more resources. So I think that is
Yeah.
that's, and that we don't have the detail available to really understand why. That's
Okay.
what I think this is. So we
And-
just want to get an understanding of that and make sure that we understand what's happening here so that we can probably ask some more questions
And I guess
and
the
figure out
other,
an approach.
the other part that I would like to add is, Michael, you keep telling us that you have a lot on your plate. You have 2 assistant town managers who you're trying to manage. You manage the Public Works Department. So I'm wondering if having someone else that has to report directly to you, if that makes sense, right? Can we work with the Public Works Director, and how, I just want it to be evaluated, right? Because again, there's a lot going on in town. We're aware of that. And as town manager, we expect you to be on top of it all. But that doesn't mean the person who's doing the work needs to be reporting to you, right? So is the possibility that this building and grounds department could be under Public Works? There are towns that have that, right? DPW director manages DPW and they render building and grounds. Sometimes it's also under the recreation department, right? The recreation director handles buildings, or they handle grounds, right? So I just want us to go back and do a second look, especially because one of the reasons we were looking at this was because we had specific personnel that we knew we wanted to move into a position. That has changed. So when things like that change, you have to reevaluate what you're looking to do. That's all.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Yolanda. And I think after this discussion, I think I can work with Becca and Dan, and we can come up and answer a lot of those questions. But I do want to be clear about something. The need for buildings and grounds in that department was not established for one particular person to move over to
I'm
that.
aware of that. I understand
We
that.
would hope
but-
not, right?
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
we would hope not.
I was just making sure. I just wanted to make sure
No.
that
I mean,
was
it is
clear.
something you've chatted about before, and we've looked at it. This wasn't a brand new thing, but part of the reasons it was coming around this time was because of some personnel. So I just think,
Yeah, it was going to be a perfect match.
right. So
And then, Michael, when you, I also just had, a couple of general questions about the utilities expenses line and the contracted services line, because they both saw a substantial increase,
yeah,
right?
I would echo those questions as well.
And the final one, actually, in terms of the fields, if the Stone Park is going to be managed, and so we're going to rent that similarly to what we do with some of our other fields. Is that true, or?
Correct. And we currently rent it.
Yeah, no, I know, but now
Yeah.
it's going to become, so that pot of money, anything that gets rented from Stone Park goes to the town side, and the schools rent, they receive those funds.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this is good and this is helpful, and this gives me some good feedback and I can put something together and work with our team and answer some of those specific questions that you have, some specific concerns.
Thank you for the
And I can have
discussions.
that for us at the next meeting.
Thanks for the discussions. Any other questions or comments
you.
on this topic? Okay. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rebecca. Appreciate it as well. Next on the agenda is town council evaluation and a timeline to get this evaluation completed. It's my understanding we're going to use the same eval form as we've had in
Yeah,
the past.
I believe Susan, I had already sent it out, I
Yeah,
think
it's
today
in
or
the Goo-
yesterday.
it's in Google
It's in the
form.
Google Doc. And then, so is the timeline, because we have to make a decision before July 1st?
That's correct.
So when do you want them I'm sorry, Brandy, when would you like them returned?
Oh, man, I was not prepared for a, okay, let me look at it.
Brandy, do you want me to give you the timeline that
Yes,
was
that would be
suggested?
Oh,
really
yeah,
good.
if you already
Yes,
have something,
yes.
that's great.
So Susan sent out the evaluation to everyone this morning. So the form would be due on the 3rd if possible. And then Michael and the chair, Brandy, would meet on 6/10. And then we have Lisa scheduled to come in for both the legal update as well as the evaluation on June 17th.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I have a question for you. So town councils, their contract ends on the end of the month, at the end of June, correct? So if we go through the evaluation process and we have feedback for council and I'm throwing this out there, that we are not, if we ever wanted to look at other options for town council, just at all, what would the process look like because the timeline is so short, I guess is the question.
So typically what happens is we would issue an RFP for legal services
Okay,
and, go through that process, which would probably be a 4-5 month process,
okay,
just in terms of developing it. And then we would move forward with, developing the RFP, move forward with advertising, getting to proposals. Depending on how many we receive, we might want to do interviews with, certain, we'll call them finalists, if you will, and move forward and essentially make a selection there.
okay. Thank you. I just think it's important to know what that process would look like if we decided to go that route, so, thank you.
If we did go that route, and it sounds like there would end up being some kind of gap,
Right.
How would
That was
that
my
be?
question.
how would that be handled?
We'd have to have a fill-in.
I mean, would there be
I
some
would have to
temporary?
think about that. I would have to think
How would
about
that work?
it. Yeah.
And I have a question. Yeah, you basically said that you said 4 or 5 months. That's for the entire process from RFP to decision, right? That's just to be clear.
Yeah, developing the RFP.
Yeah, developing
to the decision.
to decision. Yeah, I echo Claudia's question or concern about the gap, because clearly if council's contract terminates on June 30th, and if it takes that long, then like what happens there? What are the options there, I guess? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, and we could see if attorney, if Attorney Mead or her firm would be willing to extend their service for a period of time. Maybe look at
6 months.
maybe like a 6-month appointment if you wanted to bridge basically the rest of calendar year FY20 or calendar year 26. And then, looking at doing a more robust process through that period. So somebody would be on board, a firm would be on board January 1st.
We could potentially
to
maybe
think about
extend, hire somebody for 6 months who might be part of the pool that would almost be getting a test drive with us. I mean, might that be a possibility?
And I'd also, I would be leery with that because that office or that firm will have to play catch-up with all the issues that are going on right now. And how, we have some major issues that are being dealt with right now.
Well,
I think also procurement would not allow us to spend any, like, there would be issues. We'd need an RFP, more or less, I would think.
And part of the issue is that there are fewer and fewer firms that are doing this work. the landscape is changing quite a bit. Attorney Mead's firm is getting hired in a lot of communities. Simply because, well, I shouldn't say simply, but there are fewer firms out there doing this work. So that's another thing we would be bumping up against.
Things to contemplate
Yes.
for our next meeting. So June 3rd is when we need to get that email.
Yep.
Make everybody aware of that.
Try to do it
Okay.
this
Yeah.
weekend.
And I think, I think if there are some concerns with how you're being represented right now, I think you should probably communicate that to Attorney Mead during the evaluation process. And
I
there
think
are
it will
other
be.
things that we could do. Well, that's good, because that's the proper way to do it. And I think there's a couple of other potential things that you could also look at doing. If you were looking for certain help or in other areas, or specific areas, I should say, you could look at getting specialized counsel. There's a number of ways to skin this cat based on what the board would like to do, and what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. I will say it's important, though, that any direction that you give town council or any people that report to you, it's important that it comes through the board, not as individuals, but as a board.
Right.
As one board, not 5 folks.
Right. So is this something, and if you don't know that right away, right, if enough concerns come up, is this something that it would make sense to do an executive session with town council if there are issues related to current cases that we're working on?
Yes,
As
that
litigation,
would be the
litigations,
proper way.
yes.
Anything with current litigation or discuss, so it might make
Yeah, it
sense
makes sense to do that.
to also then maybe have an exec session on the 17th to discuss this, right? Because we'll have done
Yeah.
our evaluations, and if we're planning on giving an evaluation to, Lisa and her team, we as a board should discuss that full evaluation, I would think.
Yep. Collectively.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's just put it out there, folks. We don't have to dance around it. I know there are some board members that are not exactly pleased with the way some of the things with 1060 have been handled. I probably would reserve some of my comments about that to exec section. But I will say that everything that I have seen out of our attorneys, they have acted on the board's direction, not necessarily individuals.
So Michael, I know that
individuals'
that's directed at me and my making requests and asking town council.
Not just you, Claudia. No.
Okay, well, I know that I'm at least one of the people that's being directed towards. And I think that in many cases, when I happen to be around the building when town council was here for meetings and might ask a question or whatever, or sometimes if I reached out, it would be copied to you, and then often when town council didn't respond to those questions from me, I would then talk to you or other board members. So, I may have stepped out of line a little bit on that, but ultimately, then town council, I believe, should have, offered me some kind advice. But regardless, it isn't just about 1060. I think that, I know for one, I have concerns about some of the other advice that we've been given, especially in relationship to town meeting last week.
Yeah, and Claudia, I want to, questions and everything of council on an individual basis are certainly fine. I please don't take it to mean that. Just in terms of their stance on certain things and maybe how they've approached certain things would be based on board action. But please don't take what I said as meaning board members shouldn't feel like they can ask questions on an individual basis. I didn't mean it that way.
You good? Okay. Thank you. Next on the agenda is discuss, review, and vote on the donated beach bench policy. I wish it was a beach.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm in favor of the beach policy, so. Sorry to slip a tongue, but it's okay.
Was this discussed as a previous meeting and then
Yes,
this
it
is the
was.
follow-up
Yes.
to it?
Yeah.
Okay, I have not
Yes,
had
it
a
was.
chance to watch that. I have one question on this. I'm noticing that it's going through, that the town manager is deciding on the bench policy. And I just want to find out how that came to be.
Well, I think it should be the enforcement of
Of the policy.
of the policy.
So I had a couple of questions about it. I know that, that I think some benches have been put in place and then removed, and I don't know that I've heard, well, nobody asked, or they did ask. I honestly don't know. You know, I just think that anything that was existing prior to any policy we put into place, you know, should continue to exist, right? I don't
Unless
think,
they were done incorrectly.
yeah, unless there's
Right, like-
some
If you're
egregious,
not ADA compliant, then
Right.
that's a matter that needs to be addressed.
Right.
Or put without permission, which I
Yeah.
think might have also been the case.
yeah, it's hard to
Oh,
know.
yeah?
Possibly.
I don't know. I've heard from
Yeah,
pretty good sources that they had permission.
and yeah, I think it's a permission from who?
Right.
Well, there's that.
That's the question. But yes, there have been several, I think, benches put in place around town that have been discussed with the board before, and those were in place before the bench policy
Right.
before you. And so, yes, those would
Those photos were
certainly stay. Yeah.
And then the other question that I had was that, and we did touch upon this at the last meeting, is that the cost of a bench is fairly significant. And I wondered, we kind of talked a little bit about this too, is could we have, you know, benches that are in certain locations, like in downtown, that are part of really the downtown area, and you want them to exist within what we've created in our small downtown, and how much they're going to be used in that versus what we might put, you know, along one of the Riverwalk or some other,
Or the Arboretum.
yeah, or in the Arboretum. Is that something that's worth, you know, considering? Is that, because I think it was $1,500 for the DPW to install it, and I think the benches run,
$1,750, roughly,
I thought it was more than that.
34.
$2,000 to $4,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that's, you know, that's a lot of money. If do we, you know, I don't know. I just think is something to think about a little bit before we just put, it's going to cost, if somebody wanted to, I know that the Lions have done benches around town at different times, and, you know, obviously it's complicated, right? Because we do have to think about ADA compliance and other things. But do we need the same structure in the town forest or along the river walkway or some other
I would say yes.
that we need in downtown? So you,
I would. I mean, I think about the Arboretum, right? We're spending some money to make that look nice, to make it ADA compliant, to have a cohesive look if someone goes there. then yes, we need a policy that says if you want to put a bench there, you have to follow our policy.
Yep.
Same thing at the community centers, I mean, anywhere in town, we've
In the
spent
dog park.
the dog park, anywhere that we're allowing people to put a bench in memory of someone, we want to have some cohesiveness and consistency as to what they look like throughout town.
So in our last meeting, Bill Gath came and had some questions for us. Beth Reynolds had put together some responses. I don't know if everyone had a chance to review that. So there was a couple things in there. It was that, and I could actually kind of read this because it's not really a
Please
lot.
do.
So it says, so her email is, in response to questions regarding the bench policy at the select board meeting, April 29th, 2026, history/why we chose to create this policy. The bench policy we rolled out to the board at the April 15th meeting was to formalize a policy that was fair and equitable to all residents in town. We receive several requests a year for bench donations. Now that the town has invested millions of dollars into downtown area, parks and recreation areas, with new spaces coming, a policy to be clear on the process seemed necessary. We are trying to make sure there's a clear path moving forward so that we can accommodate these special requests. Having consistency in materials will be more aesthetically pleasing to the grounds which we have invested in. Continuity in materials lends itself to a more attractive public space. The bench donated in honor of Izzy Asenko at the community center is an example of why this policy is necessary. The Lions requested the bench either be placed on the patio or in front of the building. The bench was brought to the board to accept the gift at the 6/5/24 meeting. The bench was then purchased. The assistant town manager approved the bench to be placed in front of the building and notified the Lions. The bench was then installed by the Lions, but the town was not notified it was happening. The bench location was not recorded by the town and was improperly installed and did not meet ADA accessibility requirements. When the snow came and the bench was covered, the DPW was unaware of the bench and it was damaged by a plow. If DPW can track where the benches are located, we would have avoided this problem and not incurred a cost to repair it. Also, DPW would have ensured it was accessible to all with proper installation. And why, it says why we chose the benches in the policy. The two benches listed in the policy of the benches we have bought for, quote, on road, such as downtown, and in parks, example, the Ashland Arboretum. The intent was to keep consistency with the investments we've made. We realize these are more costly than benches the Ashland Lions have donated through the years, but these are the benches that have been used in the projects recently, and consistency will create a more cohesive look. And then there's a thing about installation and how we came to the pricing and the policy. We reached out to 3 vendors for installation cost estimates. One vendor quoted $3,000 but was still not interested in scheduling. The most affordable quote was from Grover at $2,500 for a 9x4x4 concrete slab. Please note that this price covers only the slab and does not include any bench work. We then calculated the cost for DPW to perform the work that included labor and materials. This is how we determined that a charge of $1,500 would cover these costs and avoid a significant financial loss to the department. Okay, so it says there was a question from Bill Gath regarding the draft policy being acted on, even though we have not approved it. We have been following guidelines for benches for years. Examples of benches that have been donated that match this existing bench policy in town are Mill Pond, Rotary Club, Mill Pond, the Rotary Club, Stone Park, the Fleet family, Dr. Jangi family, Jajari family in process, and Millette family.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's done a really good job of laying out the rationale here. You know, this is the third meeting, I think we've talked, third or fourth meeting we've talked about it. If I can understand what some of the concerns are,
No, I'm fine.
maybe we could just move beyond this. Yeah.
For me, the rest of the policy I'm fine with. I mean, the cost are the cost. I mean, that's what it's gonna be. I was just concerned that because, again, going through the town manager's office, I agree it needs to be consistent and whoever's gonna be managing it and enforcing it. That was my only question, that it was going through the town manager's office. That's all. I'm fine with the rest of the policy. I think.
I mean, I'm ready to vote.
I'm ready to vote it.
I just want to say, this is the second meeting we've talked about it, but in any case, that's fine. I was trying to make it so that we could potentially have the ability to have people purchase benches, and we can't, okay? So they need to be consistent. I understand the ADA compliance, certainly. I'm not clear then on what, is it $2,500, but that doesn't include the bench work? And the $1,500, that includes the, I mean, so is it, what's the total cost? Let's say the most inexpensive bench is 25 and 1,500?
So what I'm seeing here on the cost is the cost of the bench and plaque varies depending on the model selected. Price range for benches is $2,000 to $4,000. And it has information later in the policy. And then the other price is a $1,500 installation fee payable to the town of Ashland for DPW installation. And who knows, if the price changes, maybe it'll go down. I
So
don't
the
know.
most, theoretically, the most inexpensive bench is 3,500, is that
Correct.
right then?
That's what I'm seeing.
All right, because I was looking at this installation and how we came up with the pricing. Because,
And this is the third meeting, because it was introduced, and then we had Mr. Gabb come to the next meeting, and we talked about it again, and here we are.
And I'm sure, as with anything, right, the Lions to their, they have been, right? They've been getting approvals. I mean, I don't even know how they've gone through some of the approvals, but they've been putting benches in different locations because which has been fine. So now we're just formalizing the process so that if other people want to do benches and if the Lions want to do more, consistent with what else is going on in town.
and the current benches are,
They have to be grandfathered. I mean, you got benches over at the library.
yeah,
Well, we're not
Granite-
gonna,
like granite
wait a
bench.
second, we're not pulling out benches that are already in place, are we?
No, we're not.
Oh, okay,
No,
just
they
checking.
grandfathered.
Going forward.
No.
They grandfathered.
Okay.
no, I
Yeah,
think
well,
that
I
had
think
happened,
this-
and that was one of the things that Bill Gadd brought up.
Ah, I see.
Attention.
So I would
Well-
like to make a motion to accept or adopt the donated
Hey,
bench.
Hold on a second.
No?
Relax.
Yeah?
Why?
Next time.
She can make the motion.
I can make a motion,
Giving her a hard time.
so. Okay.
I often make the motion, I'm
Okay.
not even chair.
I'm just trying to pull the conversation
Yeah.
together.
Yes.
Unless anyone else has anything that they want to
No, we're good.
talk about with the benches. Okay. I'll make a motion to adopt the donated bench policy as has been presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Comes 5-0. All right, moving on with, I don't know if we need to discuss this. I think we've had it, this was part of a discussion earlier, but I'll bring it up again. Discuss athletic fields transfer to the school department. I think we've already done that, right, Michael?
Yeah, we did, and just to clarify, or add just a little bit more to that. So we did, we've started transferring some of, identifying equipment that could possibly be transferred along with the responsibility to the school department. It looks like we're still, there's not much that's going to be able to be transferred, but we're looking at that list, which could be pretty substantial. And then, yes, we're continuing to do the scheduling and everything up until July 1st.
Mhm. And with that transfer. Is there any other discussion or questions concerning this? We
No, we covered a lot of it.
Yeah,
I think
I know.
when we're talking about
I
building.
just have
and
to
grounds.
ask. I don't want to get
Yeah.
yelled at. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Discuss scholarships. And I'll hand that over to Claudia.
Yes, so the scholarship for the Ashland High School, or I should say students that live in Ashland, and the application process was finished as of last Friday night, May 15th. We have 13 applicants at this time. So Makita and I will be meeting, and those are for two $2,000 scholarships, which will then be awarded on the June 5th class day.
Morning.
Joe, you're not part of
Yeah.
the scholarship committee this year?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
they threw me out. I'm only kidding.
Joe,
New blood, right, Makita?
Joe.
New blood.
yeah, you
New
said
blood.
it was
I-
fine. I wanted to try it. You said it was okay.
Absolutely, I have no
You were
problem
okay
with
with
it.
it.
I have no problem with that. New blood, it's good. It works for everybody. All right.
And then just not necessarily scholarship, we've also received our invite to both Class Day and graduation, both happening on the same day. Class Day is happening Friday during the day, and then graduation is that night. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Second year they're doing that.
Something new.
It's the second year they're doing that.
Yeah, something new.
It's actually, it's good to get it all, like, in one
Yeah,
day.
well, it makes it
yeah.
easier for the parents, too. If they want to, schedule.
I can imagine.
Yep.
Celebrations and things like that. Okay. All right, Michael, updates on 40B projects. I can turn it over to you, or I can turn it over to Catherine.
Yeah, just let me pull this up really quick. Okay. So right now there's still 140B that's undergoing active review before the ZBA, and that would be 55 West Union Street. So the deadline to close the hearing was actually in February, but we have received extensions, the latest being April 14th. So the hearing and public comment period does remain open. And right now, the big issue that is before the ZBA right now is the placement of the sewer line. That is still being discussed and still being worked on. Right now, the ZBA, the DPW, Town Council, our peer reviewers and the staff and the applicant, they've all been working towards the resolution of this sewer line placement. But as of now, they haven't reached an agreement yet. So that, again, that's the only one that is currently before the ZBA. So moving on to the Conservation Commission.
Before you jump, Michael, are there conditions that are being worked on for that project?
Not
the
that I'm
ZBA?
aware of. Not that I'm aware of. I believe they're waiting until they can get some kind of resolution, if they do come to a resolution on the sewer line, before they start working on the decision and the conditions associated.
Were there any conditions with the 61 Waverly Street?
Outlined in the special permit?
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't have that list in front of me, and there were also some with the Conservation Commission as well.
Yeah.
Like the one I can remember, like right off the top of my head, related to the Concom, and that was the replacement of the
Yeah, no, I remember
the
that
culvert.
one. I wasn't sure what came out of the ZBA on that one, that's all.
Yeah, and so just with the moving on to the Concom, and so we just talked about 61 Waverly. And I should point out the conditions in Waverly for the Conservation Commission also require them to create additional documents to bring back before the DPW and the Concom before they can do before they get the final approval or before any other site activities would commence. So moving on to 10 to 60, so they had their 5th hearing with the Conservation Commission on May 18th. That was really devoted more to the contamination on site and dealing with the contamination. Currently, one of the big issues is whether or not the building floods. During the May 18th meeting, the applicant continues to deny that the building and the property have historically flooded. But we have documented evidence from 1955 that shows that. And then there have been multiple times since 1955 that the building has flooded, according to our Department of Public Works.
I know that the building always smells like it flooded.
Yeah, I mean, and if you've been in that basement, it does have that.
You don't have to be in the basement for that.
That's true. That is true. I've just spent more time in the basement there than in some of the upper offices there. But the applicant made a comment that the site wasn't within the Superfund site and was down gradient of it. I'm not necessarily sure that's accurate. I don't think Becca feels like that's accurate either, because um, the EPA website shows that the boundary was shared and shows that most of the property is within that.
Yeah, it's in the plume. It's part of the plume. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, they showed
and
that
it-
the other night, actually.
And isn't that one of the
Yeah.
issues that's being brought up time and time again?
Yes.
That their information that they submitted to us and to Mass Housing is not accurate because how it does not reflect some of those things?
Yeah, the UAL.
Yeah, and that goes to some of, what Connie and what some
Yeah.
of the board, what Claudia and some of the other board members have
Yeah.
pointed out as well.
Okay.
Okay. Good.
I believe, and actually just one final thing, I do believe that they finally agreed to do a site walk with the commission, I should say, inside the building. I think they're still working on a date. And then also to hire an LSP peer reviewer.
I think there were
they're gonna-
conditions, right? There was a condition
Right.
in the, from the comprehensive permit of a $10,000 towards an LSP.
It's either 10,000 or a maximum of 10 hours. I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think,
There's a 10 there.
it's in there. I think Mr. Engler read the $10,000 number the other night, so I'm not sure if he was reading from that document or winging it.
Yeah.
He looked like he was reading.
He was reading it.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. We're good. Just one thing with respect to 40Bs, we have a friendly 40B that we're waiting on a decision on from Land Court Judge. Have we heard anything from them?
correct. No, we
Where's
have
that
not.
one?
UGC.
That's the UGC.
Oh, that's right, like a friendly 40B. Wait, oh, yes,
is a
UG
friendly
it
40B,
is, it
yeah.
is. I
Yeah,
can't believe we
and
still don't have an
actually,
answer on that.
I know it's extremely frustrating. Yes, it's extremely frustrating, and I think just if I may add, one of the things I think I would like to focus on over the next fiscal year is a way to maybe loosen up some of these. That's the only term I can think of, to find some way that maybe doesn't require a legal action to move some of these approved projects forward. If that's something that you want, if you want me to work on it.
Well, are we scheduling a board retreat? Because that would be something to talk about?
That would,
Okay.
I'm sure that,
Well, I was thinking, during the evaluation process, or my evaluation process, one of the things I know we've all talked about and wanting to work on was more towards like some goals and some definitive
Yep.
goals. And I've been thinking about that, and just thinking about some of these things that are lingering, I guess, and trying to find a way to, I guess, I don't want to use the term wrap up, but just kind of tie up some of the loose
loose
ends.
strings.
Yeah.
With the issuance of the comprehensive permits on those two 40Bs, does that put us in safe harbor?
It should, and I know
just wanted
Jasmine
to say that.
has, yeah, it does. And so Jasmine has submitted for certification that we would be in safe harbor with the two comprehensive permits that were issued.
Now, how does that work in terms of, there's a certain amount of time now where they have to actually build, or something, some kind of timeline, or will fall out of safe harbor? Is that true?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so if it's a comprehensive permit, so if it's done as a 40B, after the comprehensive permit is issued, you are able to submit, and if you have a housing production plan that's valid and in place, if you are making progress, which is defined by either increasing your affordable housing percentage by 0.5% or percent, you can get safe harbor from the time that comprehensive permit was issued. So if it's the number of units approved equals a 1% gain on your affordable housing, you get 2 years of safe harbor. The only thing is, is that if a building permit has not been issued for that comprehensive permit within a year, you lose that safe harbor status. So you have to get, they have to start construction within a year for you to maintain that additional year for safe harbor status. Was that clear?
Yeah, I understand it, but I wonder if the developer, if it's on them, that they haven't moved it along, and yet we could fall out of safe harbor?
Yeah,
Which has happened to us already.
it's very frustrating. And when you look at 501 Pond, or not, 30 Pond, which was, excuse me, 501 Pond, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting my pond streets mixed up.
Yeah, 501, you're right.
So that wasn't done as a comprehensive permit, that's called under the local initiative program. And so to get qualified for that, you have to issue a building permit. You don't get the safe harbor until, excuse me, an occupancy permit until those occupancy permits are issued. So it's a little different than the 40B comprehensive permit.
But it's still
But
part of
one
our
of the
housing
big
production
questions-
plan.
Correct.
Yeah, and that developer ended up just delaying
Correct.
during
501.
501,
Correct.
so which would have also moved us into
That would put us in safe.
safe harbor.
And Claudia, you're starting to articulate some of the frustrations that we've experienced just with these 40Bs, knowing that we have plans and we have put in place, we did put in place things that we could do. We took the action that we could to plan and prevent 40Bs from happening. It's just the private sector didn't go along with us. We can do the approvals, we can do all of that stuff. But if a developer decides not to build or decides not to move forward, we're hamstrung, which doesn't seem fair.
No, and I think, as we look to advocate now in the coming months and years potentially with our legislature, and, I think that that's an area that we definitely need to be advocating about, and the whole 40B process, and, that along with funding for communities versus how much the state currently funds us. I think those are a couple of areas that need some aggressive effort on our part. And, I think most of the community feels that way, right? That everybody's a little fed up with some of this, with some of the 40B stuff. And then the other piece is really funding coming down from the state just isn't making it. We living that right now. We're living it as are so many other communities. And it's time for our tax dollars to come back to us. And in particular, I think education is, a huge piece of that puzzle, because it's a huge piece of our budget, as it should be. And 2.5% over and over and over again, year after year, is not enough to fund education and our municipal needs. It just isn't, no matter how well you manage your budget. And so I do think that that's an area that we need to put some energy into in this coming year, at least for me anyways.
Yeah, to your point, Claudia, I think a while ago, many years ago, a number of select boards in the area would meet together. Brandy, that might have happened even before you started on the board. Joe and
think so.
Yolanda, I think you both remember.
I think a lot of it was being, I don't know, 10 years ago, the casinos.
Yeah.
There was a casino.
That was one thing, yeah.
That sort of started the conversation. They wanted to put a casino in Milford, and the surrounding communities started meeting all together. And Ashland, even though we were not a direct in a butter, we would be impacted because Hopkinton would be impacted, Holliston would be impacted, and even though it was in Milford. And yeah, we would meet once a quarter with select board members from Milford, Holliston, Hopkinton, Medway, Ashland, maybe it was those 5. And we kept going pretty well until COVID. And then as, you know, once we couldn't meet in person and things like that. So if that's something people are interested in, I'd actually be willing to take that initiative back on.
I still have my notebook with everybody's
And,
names and contacts.
I mean, certainly through the work that we do, that I do as part of the Metro West Regional Collaborative, I could just reach out to those 9 communities, right? If as select boards, we want to get together, something to think about. And then if there's other boards or other organizations, strengthen numbers.
Yeah, I'd certainly like to see that. I think that it's something that we could probably get some traction on with the number of overrides that are out there. And then perhaps we could even get the school committee and you know, their association or their local members, local communities, to work on that with us as well. That it could be bigger than just the select board.
Oh, yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Claudia. I think that makes a lot of sense. We should pursue that.
It's also something we could probably get support from the MMA. I mean, they did their report in the fall, they gave their recommendations, and they're always looking for ways for communities to band together to support the work that they're doing, and I think this is something that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
I agree, and that's one of the things I think the state depends on. Part of their strategy, whether it's spoken or not, is they depend on us staying 351 individual entities, cities and towns, because that does diffuse, and I'll just use the term political force, if you will. But if you start banding together, if we start, you know, banding together as communities and as one voice, I think that's where we'll see some movement.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something we should do, and maybe we should reach out with a letter to, or an email to the FinCom and to the school committee and ask if they would like to participate in that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was, and just to bring that up, we used to meet on a monthly, quarterly. It was
monthly.
the chair and the vice chair of school committee, select board, and finance committee met with the town manager and the superintendent. And now granted, that was when things were a little more contentious between the different boards. But we lost that conversation that was on an ongoing basis as we headed into this whole process. So that would be something that might also be good to reach out, because yes, the override has passed, but as we know, there's still issues within our community in regards to how we do things and how we fund things and what our community thinks. So the conversation needs to continue on an ongoing basis and not just when we're having problems.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Claudia. I do have that notebook. It's about yay thick, with all the meetings, information and stuff. And a lot of good information came out of it, too. We used to meet in Medway at the...
Thayer House.
Thayer's, yes. Yep.
And one of the select board members was the owner of the Muffin House.
That's very true.
So does that mean there's muffins at the meeting?
So
Sounds
there would
like
be
it.
muffins at the meeting.
Yes, there were.
Very good
Okay.
muffins.
Liaison updates, and we have a list of them. Affordable Housing Trust, that was I represent the liaison there. We are meeting May 27th to go over some things. We have 2 individuals who are interested in becoming members. We have 1 open position, associate member. So they've been invited to the meeting, and hopefully we get 1 or both of them stay interested and continue working with us. That's what I have right now, and there's still progress at the Main Street location for the Habitat for Humanity construction area over there. They were going guns of fire the other day. They were doing a lot of inside work, and now they're going to be doing the outside sheeting, so siding that. So good for them. That's moving along. So hopefully that maybe by the end of the summer that we'll have somebody in there, which would be Very, very nice. Ashland Cultural Council.
I do not have an update for that.
Okay,
So,
that's easy enough. That's fine.
yeah. But I have been in touch with the chair, and we will be hopefully communicating soon,
Good.
so I can jump into their meeting cadence.
Enjoying the artwork on the electrical boxes.
Yes, look very nice. Came out very
Immensely.
nice.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah. Community Preservation Committee, CPC.
Yeah, they haven't met since our last meeting, so
Okay.
I have no update there.
Conservation Commission.
I pass on everything.
I actually,
say.
I did come to their meeting the other night, so I can just, add that, excuse me. I think Michael covered some of it, where they are in the process. It was very well attended. There were probably, this room was probably 3/4 full, and there were many people on Zoom as well. So, there's definitely a lot of interest, and people are trying to take some control. And, I think we all know that that's really challenging in that process, but it's, again, with everything that's gone on in the community of late, there's a lot of people engaged, and now we need to capture that engagement and,
Continue it.
and use it to make this community what everybody wants it to be, so.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Council on Aging, that would be me. We met, I met with them at the beginning of the month. They went over their budget. Candy went over their budget and some of the things that they would like to see. They're probably looking for another full-time employee to keep up with the scheduling and all the other activities that are going on over there. I know that's,
I'm sorry, Joe. Can you speak into your microphone a little bit better, because it's really hard to hear. I apologize.
that's okay, I'm getting tired, like some of you folks are already. But we met at the beginning of the month, and Candy went over her budget, probably looking for another full-time employee for scheduling another activity work that they're doing over there. And it's a budget that could use additional funding, just like everybody else. But I think I think this group is
There's
Is
no
it needed?
extra person in the budget for July 1, is there?
I don't
Have we added
I don't believe so. I think
staff
she's-
there for July 1?
No, what we did do though, is we did increase the hours of both the outreach and the volunteer activity.
Okay,
accordingly.
so
All right.
So
odd
that was
odd
part of
that
our.
she's bringing odd that she's bringing a budget to Council on Aging that she knows won't be changing until
No, she was just giving a report as to what she would like to see.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah.
yep.
Which is
And it
her
was-
prerogative to do so.
Yeah, it was,
It's sort of past the budget cycle though, right? That's odd. It just surprises me that she's doing that to Council on Aging now.
Well, that's been an ongoing discussion with them, and so she was answering questions from
Oh, okay,
certain
okay.
members. That's about it on that aspect. Open space and recreation.
We are this close to having an open space and rec plan finalized. I saw some, the process back and forth has been a little crazy. Thank you to Becca and Samantha for continuing to try and get this done. I can't believe it's a year later and we're still not done. There was some last red line stuff that I saw go back and forth. I have not read the full plan in detail, but I've seen some red line stuff go through. Michael has been, sort of trying to push it along. And so I'm hoping it's within a month that it's going to be approved. So unfortunately,
Okay.
just,
I haven't attended any meetings, but I've been seeing this stuff go back and forth. I've been copied on it. So I'm hoping we very soon have a finalized open space and rec plan that can be submitted to the state. What's nice is it does tie a lot to the comp plan.
Right.
So, but yeah.
just from a process perspective, So that open space and recreation plan, I believe, goes to, it would first go to the select board and I believe the planning board for your review. And then you would need to sign letters of review before I believe we submit it formally to the state. So just from a process perspective, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
make
so
you
I would
aware.
say maybe our first meeting in July.
That's a good target.
Thank you. Roadway Traffic Safety Committee. We had our meeting on the 12th, and it was a very good meeting. A lot of great conversation and dialogue between the police and the DPW, and some of the issues and concerns that residents are sending us requests and emails with stop signs, sidewalks. Basically, you know, it's the same issues that we've been dealing with for the last 3 or 4 years. And, you know, people are waiting to see the plan in motion and working to get those sidewalks and stuff done. I did find out, and I don't know, Michael, I don't know if you were made aware of it, but the state was planning on putting a new bridge in at Cordova Road, replacing that bridge. I guess there's some structural issues with that.
Talked about that
Yeah,
one for a while, right?
Yeah, we've talked about that one for a while. It's been on the state's list for a while. We've had, funding in place in case we needed to do like some temporary, transitional type of work. But yes, it's
That's
still
the
on
one where
state's
Pleasant
list.
turns into Cordova.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
correct,
right by the
right
Fish
by-
and Game and by Nick O'Hara's place, that
Yes,
bridge,
that
right?
bridge, yeah.
Yeah, that's been
That is
talked
correct.
about for years.
So I think
Trying
probably
to
the
do.
state plan is when it no longer is safe, then action happens. If we go by the creation of the High Street Bridge and the House Street Bridge, that is what happened. When they became impassable for safety reasons, then they were closed and the
They've
state
also
stepped
been
in.
discussing this one as to what the best way is, right? Because there's really no place to put a temporary bridge next to it.
Yeah, that's what they were
So
talking about.
it's getting
but
traffic
they were
around and what-
also referring to straightening out the road a bit, instead of having that sharp turn, just making the road a little bit more straight. And if that's what they plan on doing, then that second bridge, or the bridge that will not be able to, they won't be able to put that other bridge there, which means so that whole intersection will be shut down completely, which means, unfortunately, the neighborhoods in and around that area, they'll be looking for, additional traffic flow for that vehicle. My concern is the tractor-trailer units, because that is the truck route to Route 9 in Mass Pike, and not going up Myrtle Street. So you'll be seeing all these tractor-trailers coming through neighborhoods. High Street, Whittemore, that neck of the woods.
So have they come to road traffic safety with a plan? Or are
Not
they
yet.
just come to say, we're looking at this and, okay.
The plan is being developed, but at the same token, the deterioration of the bridge is
Right, progressing,
progressing quickly.
yeah.
And we just found out, well, Dan just found out, and I don't know, Michael, if Dan explained that to you, but found out that Ashland owns the bridge, and it's not a state bridge.
Ashland owns the
We're
bridge?
talking about Cornville.
Yeah,
I think there is still some people that disagree about that. That being said, the state has committed to.
oh, no.
Fixing it,
I'm-
right.
I'm just saying, but as time goes on and that road, that bridge deteriorates, we're gonna have to, you said we have some contingency monies available. We may have to put some large metal plates over the bridge. to continue
Yeah, I mean,
use.
we had even planned, I think, to make it like a one-way and put
Correct,
temporary
with lights.
lights
Well,
on each end.
what I would recommend is, once you have some kind of plans, that maybe we do a discussion at a select board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
That's recorded and live, so we can get the information out
Out to
to
everybody.
folks.
Oh, yeah.
And then also film, I don't know, but yeah, once we have a plan, because like I said, this is something that's been talked about for many, many years.
Oh, yeah.
One, that the bridge needs to be replaced, that the state was gonna be doing it. There was also discussion about creating an extra, this is many years ago, and I know it was sort of just a discussion to, at the same time, do something that actually gets you over the train tracks to the other side more easily. I'm sure that's not part of it anymore, but.
No.
Pipe dream.
Yeah, the pipe dream that they had, the pedestrian crosswalk over Route 9, if you remember that.
The
many,
flyover.
many years ago.
Yeah.
Flying
Okay,
over, flying
great.
over.
So I think then that might be something that we involve our state senator and our
Oh, yes, absolutely.
representative, as well as, that's good for now.
It's, so, that's it for the roadway
You skipped
traffic safety
historical
committee.
commission.
I did.
Okay,
Next.
okay.
Is it next?
Must
Is
be,
that
yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll just pull out a couple of highlights. The previous historical commission meeting topic of 9 Olive Street came up. It's in pretty bad condition. Owners are been trying to get someone to restore it, and now there's a good possibility that they may just want to get it demolished. At the last meeting, there was talk of a walkthrough with the commission. I think on the 21st was tomorrow, and I think they were trying to get a public hearing together to discuss the property. I think they were planning on May 27th, but I haven't looked back with the chair to confirm those dates yet. There's discussion around the village burial ground. It sounds like the GPR survey is going to be happening in July, so that's really exciting. It sounds like they're going to try to get the whole site done at that point. And discussion is probably going to pick up around the historical district. I think there are plans to bring that back to town meeting this fall, but they're just talking about just communicating with the community about that and gearing that effort up. But yeah, I think that's, next June 9th is the next meeting. And if you want to meet your friendly historical commission members, they will be at the farmer's market this summer. I don't have those dates, but they are planning to be there. And maybe in the next meeting, I'll be able to show those dates with folks. That's what I've got.
Thank you, Makita. Appreciate the update. Stormwater Committee.
Who's stormwater?
Oh, I am, but they did meet, but I missed it.
Okay, not a problem. That's all right. Sustainability Committee.
I will plan to go to their next meeting.
Okay, now that you have some free time.
Now that I'm,
Town Forest Committee.
I haven't been to a meeting recently and/or touch base. I think there was, they were not happy with how things went at town meeting, so I haven't had a chance to regroup with them and see what we'll be doing moving forward regarding that property, if anything.
Upper Charles Trail Committee.
So there's been a little bit of progress there. Back in February, we had a meeting with some people who are going to be helping us with some planning. And I believe we've received some kind of quote from them. I haven't had a chance to follow up with either the Town Forest Committee, with the Upper Charles Trail Committee or Diane, because Diane Mortensen in Town Manager's Office has been managing that.
Yep.
But I believe there has been some progress on that. I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
I would like to add to this list comp plan implementation moving forward. So while I was away, nothing was done. Anna reached out to me to say, we need to get this going. I let her know that I think we should wait until June. I didn't think May was a good time to do that. Yeah. My plan is to touch base with Susan and just double check if people have actually applied to be part of the comp plan implementation.
Okay.
And depending on what I see there, I was going to then reach out to members of the comp plan committee to see if any of them want to continue. And then I was going to connect with Anna to see what we have and how we might need to recruit again.
Yep.
And then hopefully bring something forward middle of June to see how we can move this forward.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
I think Michael gave a really good
He
update
did.
on that one a little earlier.
He gave a
So-
great update.
I think we're good.
We're good. We're very good. And I just want to add something with respect to that. I want to give kudos to the ZBA for holding their ground and supporting the DPW, saying that they wanted a gravity feed system, which was the best system that was available and not a mechanical power pump sewage station there. Because they'd have to dig 35 feet underground, and they'd have to maintain.
Which project?
This is 55.
55 West
Oh,
Union.
okay.
And they, Dan Mauer gave a great explanation and great information was provided. And they supported the DPW.
Good.
And it was nice to see that, and hopefully that'll continue. I know it's probably not what the applicant wanted to hear, but at this stage of the game, it's what's best for Ashland and not anybody else for that matter. So, that's good. All right, consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
Second?
There's a second. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's 5-0. Thank you. Town manager reports, community center improvement project update. And I will turn this over to Catherine.
Thank you. So right now we are awaiting doors for the office spaces and mini splits. So as soon as those come in, those will be installed. The food pantry is on track to move on June 4th and June 5th, if all goes well and according to schedule.
Yep, that's great. I went down there after the COA meeting, and it looks fantastic. It's just mind-blowing, the work that was done and can be done. It's really, really nice. Great job. Great job, everybody. Warren Bond project update. Mike, I'll turn that over to you, buddy.
Yeah, so some of the work that's going to be done this week, doing some rough plumbing, as you can see, it frames up. Yeah. So do some roof work and some insulation. Actually doing some concrete work in front of Henry's place as well.
Yep.
And then if all goes well, in the next couple of weeks, they'll start the interior work, including some of the windows and the doors.
Nice.
And then the siding will go up and the roofing will be completed. And just as a reminder for anybody who might be watching, so the Warren Barn is owned by the town of Ashland, and this is a joint project with Framingham State University. So we are contributing towards the reconstruction of the barn. Framingham State is as well. And then, just as a reminder, we also have a lease arrangement with Framingham State, where we'll be getting a portion of the revenue that is being generated from that barn as well.
And could you just remind us, in terms of our contribution, remind us where that money came from?
Sure. So the total is 1.5 million. So 750 was through an earmark that Senate President Spilka was able to secure for us, and then the other 750,000 comes from the town.
From what?
From the town.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, a couple of reminders. The Culture Fest, May 30th, 2026, from 3 to 7 p.m. Look forward to that. And another reminder is Ashland Arboretum Ribbon Cutting Ceremony is June 9th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Looking forward to that as well. Finally to see that all done and walk around. I drove by there the other day, and I didn't stop in, but it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really, really nice. Great job for those that were involved. And the Ashland Black Park ribbon cutting ceremony, expected at sometime at the end of June. Do we have?
We don't have it
conclusive
yet.
date?
We
Okay.
don't have it yet. They're trying to finish up some of the work now. Beth is managing that project. It's looking really
It
good
is.
and very exciting after, I don't know,
So don't
8
we have
years of
yet?
work.
We just don't have a date?
We don't have a date
Oh,
yet.
okay,
It's
okay.
not, it's
But
not
it's still
finished.
looking like the end of June?
It's looking like, yeah, it's still looking like the end of June. I think that the contractor who's doing it has to come, is doing some specific things, but it's still looking like the end of June. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that update. And and employee recognition, and I will turn this over to Catherine. Laura Clifford.
Michael, did you want to say anything before?
Well, I'll start it off, and Catherine, if you could talk a little bit about the process afterwards. But so we are starting this process of having employees be recognized by their peers for the outstanding work that they do. And so I'm pleased to say that our first recipient is Laura Clifford, who works for us in the health department. Anybody who's had a chance to work with Laura or interact with her knows just how helpful she is and how intentionally helpful she is. She goes out of her way to be helpful for residents, for other stakeholders, and also for the staff. Catherine, would you mind just speaking a little bit about the origin of this and just a little bit about the process?
Sure. So about a year and a half ago, our team met and we came up with an internal organizational development plan. And through that, it was found that as a team, we were looking for more employee engagement opportunities as well as employee recognition. And so one of the ideas that the actual implementation team came up with was an employee recognition program. And so they created criteria on how to nominate someone and how that person is chosen. And so employees can nominate their peers for great work that they do around town based on this criteria. Another group of their peers will look at all of the nominations for that quarter and select who fits for that quarter and chooses the employee that's recognized for that quarter. So it's a great program. Laura is our first sort of winner of that and recipient of the employee recognition, and very well deserved.
Very nice. Congratulations, Laura.
Congratulations, Laura. She's awesome.
Congratulations.
She really is amazing.
Yes.
So that's a great first choice.
For sure.
I agree. So congratulations, Laura, and we'll let you know each time we do have another employee recognized. I do have one thing, additional thing that I was notified about today. That's good news. So the National Academy for Public Administration is part of the celebration in Washington of America's 250th anniversary. And part of that is what they're calling the celebration of the American public servant, which is there were 250 Americans, or people working in local government throughout the United States that were recognized as part of that. But that's going to culminate in a celebration at the end of June in Washington. A part of that celebration is they're going to feature 10 essentially local stories, stories from local government, just that really illustrate what it means to work in local government and work with residents in the community and be a part of the community. So we had submitted just our nomination for that was our trick-or-treating event on Halloween or around Halloween, where we open up town hall and all the kids come in, and it's grown from just a candy bowl at one of the counters on a late Wednesday night to this event that fills downtown. Anybody who's ever seen it just knows it's quite an all-American sight. Staff get into it just as much as the kids, and they get into costumes. But in any case, I was notified today that Ashland was a finalist for that. And so if we do end up winning, we will have pictures and our story as part of that exhibit in late June throughout the summer. So
That's great.
cross your
Congratulations.
fingers and wish us luck. The town getting some much deserved recognition and love for one of the favorite activities of mine, and I think I can say the staff and the community through the year.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And I have to say, you're right. I think, I happened to come into town hall that day, and the staff, even the days leading up to it, they're all buzzing about it, and every
so
day that I
exciting for
came in,
them.
there would
They're
be a
talking
new
about-
decoration here, a new decoration
Well, they
there.
talk about
An
their
emergency candy
costumes
runs.
and
Yeah.
how many- oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then that night, I mean, it was packed in here, packed. It
Yeah.
was really, really nice.
And getting through downtown when you see
Oh,
like,
it took me half an hour to get here that night,
And
actually.
how
all
the
the people.
businesses have,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
it used to
Involved.
just
Oh,
be
yeah.
town hall, and now it's all of downtown that gets involved.
In
the
It's a great
library
thing.
and everything
Realize
else.
It's great.
That those blinking lights that you just push and automatically the lights blink and cars have to all stop, all people did was push that all night long, like, okay, this isn't really
Yeah.
effective way to move traffic. Yeah.
So Claudia, we're all wondering what your costume is going to be this year.
Yeah, well, you'll know soon enough.
Okay, I've got a heat miser one.
Oh,
So, yeah.
No comment.
Nope.
Board reports. Ms. Yolanda.
Well, as I said, I sorry to have missed, but not sorry at the same time. Being truthful here. I do have a bunch of stuff coming up. When I came back, I immediately jumped in and helped out with Green Up Ashland on May 4th. I know it's a couple of weeks away, but it's always a great event. Couple things coming up. Metro West Regional Collaborative, we're having an in-person meeting and walk through downtown Wellesley. I forget why, but we're meeting there. It was decided what, I don't remember the specifics as to why we're doing a walkthrough in Wellesley.
Yeah, you sound like me.
But what I'd like to, what I'm hoping to plan is once all our wires are gone and downtown is done, is to invite people to come here
There you
and do
go.
a walkthrough here. The Reality Fair is coming up on Friday, May 29th, and I believe 4 of us now are participating in that this year, so that's always a fun thing. Let's see, Mass Select Board, I represent District 5 on the Mass Select Board Association. We have a meeting coming up on June 1st. We talked already about timing of graduation. The other thing I'm going to be helping out with this year is the Select Board new member training. It's going to be happening in Devens on Friday, June 12th. And, even if you've been a member for a long time, I think it's always a great place to reconnect. So if you want to start having conversations with other people, you just register. The other thing that I just noticed, and I don't remember the date, but I saw MMA is doing a Zoom virtual meeting about what to do when your override passes and the town has said yes, and how you move forward with that.
I've
So
already registered
you've
for
already
that.
registered. I just saw it real quick as I was wrapping up
I
some
saw
other
that
stuff.
too.
So I highly recommend that we all go listen to that one.
Yep.
And
We
that's all.
might know a presenter or two on that one.
Oh, okay. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Yep.
All right, I'm good. I think I touched upon anything that I've been,
Very good. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Claudia. Randy.
Yeah, that's, I have nothing else really to report. It's been busy, and I'm thankful that Election Day has come and gone, and that we came with the outcome that we did. So just thank you to everybody that has been involved with that. It's been really good. The one thing I wanted, non-election thing that I wanted to just bring up is that Friday, June 5th, we are supposed to be having a meeting with our legislative delegation, Michael, and that's from 11 to 12, and typically the
That's
chair
class day.
and vice chair attends that, but that's class day. So I just wanted to just throw that out there to see if we want to try to move that date, or if that, I don't know what time class day is, or if it's over at 11.
Actually, it just starts at 9. It's
Typically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have another engagement that day, so I would like to see it, if we could move it.
Okay. All right. Michael, what do you think? Is that all right? I'll just send an email?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send an email.
So real quick, I know it's Makita's turn. I didn't get to say this, Joe, but I just want to say thank you for your work this year as chair.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciated.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Makita?
Hello, let's see. I met with, last week, I met with the citizens group that had some questions around procurement. I'm sure a few folks came before us. A couple of representatives of that group met with myself and Beth Reynolds. We have a follow-up meeting in the next few weeks, answered a few of their questions. They're going back to clarify a few things and bring back a few more questions. I'll be attending the Reality Fair on May 29th. And I guess graduation class day as well. I want to do a couple thank yous. First off, Joe, thank you so much for your chairmanship this year as well. And one thing I just want to, just on a personal note, as many of you know, a member of my family who struggled with a life-threatening health issue over the past few weeks. And I wanted to extend my thanks and gratitude to my colleagues here on the board, and also a lot of the citizens of this town who reached out and were very kind to me and my family during that time. Fortunately, that family member is on their way to make a complete recovery, but I just wanted to extend my gratitude for the support that my family received during a very difficult and scary period over the past few weeks. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Makita. And it's good news. Always good news. Thank you. Brandy,
I'm done.
you're done.
I'm done.
You don't want to do any more.
Nope, I have nothing else.
Okay. All right, lastly. I would like to thank the members of our current board. I would like to say that this is the last time I'm going to chair, because the next 2 years I'll be just an associate member, and that's fine. Do what I need to do.
Don't say just, it makes the rest of us feel like,
I mean,
It's never just, Joe. You're a
just-
fifth of a
I'm
five-member
a
board.
That's
thank
right.
you. But some of you may not have realized, but I kept something very close vested over the past year or so. And even my wife didn't know, because I didn't want her to worry. And as a result of that, my mind was preoccupied throughout this year. And it's pretty evident that Brandy picked up the slack that I left on the table, and I just wanted to thank you so much. No, it wasn't right for me to do that, but my mind was totally preoccupied. You were preoccupied with the budget stuff and the override. Well, I had a health scare, and it was a cancer scare, and that's all it was a scare. I got great reports the other day, about a week and a half ago, and I don't have what everybody thought I was going to have, so I'm stuck with it. You're stuck with me for a lot longer than anticipated. But I just want to thank Claudia and Makita, Yolanda, Brandy for your continued and understanding and support. We've traveled through a lot of tough roads over this past year, and even years prior, as a group together. And I can't be any prouder of the work that's been done. And we've taken a stand. There's been some shortfalls, and unfortunately, out of our control. And people have to understand that. We've done everything that we needed to do to make this town a much better place to live in, raise our families, watch our grandchildren have fun going to school here, and raising a lot of concerns about having fun. And sometimes we forget that this is fun. I'm a lifelong resident here, and I wouldn't want to be anyplace else. Wouldn't want to be anyplace else, though I've had the opportunity. So I would love to thank Catherine, Michael, Beth, Susan, and Diane for providing the leadership during these trying times and keeping Ashland on a straight path towards the future. It has been my honor, and it's been my privilege to serve as your chair, and I look forward to serving my last 2 remaining years on the board. for our residents and for our future. So thank you. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you soon.
And thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
We're a big,
Thank you, Joe.
we're a
Thank you,
team
Joe.
here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it, guys. We're done.
Town meeting June 3rd. Yeah,
June 3rd. Be there. We need 25 votes.
we need, that's right. We need 25
voters. Oh, we're not
registered
going
voters.
anywhere.
Yep.
Thank you.